gosh, how am I going to repeat that? Have we ever considered doing computational models, which would make clear our progression from where to where? Oh. Gosh, I'll let you take that one. But let me say that I do not. I say this with deep respect, as the mafia bosses always say. You know, with respect. The word efficient is probably the last one that most people will attach to a psychedelic experience. But you're talking. I know you're talking about the process of discovery. I don't. Computational models, I don't think would help him. Because what he's doing is using his chemical knowledge and intuition, and it would be of great interest for somebody else to do that for their own satisfaction. But I can't imagine a computational model that would make anything easier for him in this process. I mean, it's an artistic, creative exploration, as well as involving the science of chemistry. You go where your heart and intuition tell you, and where it's interesting.
Well, one thing that came into mind just when you're discussing this is that I've often say in the tryptamine area especially, take substitution patterns that are known in tryptamines and not been explored in man, and put them into the tryptamines I'm exploring in myself and in Ann. Some time ago, I worked up a compound, I think 5-methoxytryptamine, in which I put a pyrrolidine ring on the nitrogen. Nitrogen was into a 5-membered ring, and had a 2,5-dialkyl substituent. But it's a neat little tryptamine molecule, well-known type of chemistry. And from all the computational models or what have you, I figured it should be active around 10 milligrams, something in that magnitude. So I started out at 50 micrograms, and 3 days later went to 100 micrograms, and off the line. I got up to 1.5 milligrams, which is still, in my opinion, something to be way below the psychedelic activity. And I found myself stepping outside the back door and vomiting. Okay. It didn't fit very well in my pattern at the moment, so I waited a couple, 3-4 days and repeated the 1.5 milligrams. And this time, not only vomiting, but also diarrhea. And it was poisonous. I'm sure if you could get up to 100 to 50 or 25 milligrams, it would be psychedelically active. But you can't get there because it's toxic way down below that. So these are the mysteries that come in, and there's no way of avoiding them. You don't know no way of predicting them. And it's an absolutely marvelous fun to explore and discover new toxic materials as well as new psychedelic materials.
I would like to, well, never mind. Let's go to another question. Yeah. This is a question of how does set and setting come into our own personal explorations of these things, and the psychological part. Well, the whole thing is psychological. The set and setting, if I can remember correctly, set is the mindset with which you go into an experience, and the setting is what you surround yourself with for the best possible experience. And I think our experiences be the same as the classic one. Try to be out in nature. be in a place where the phone is not going to ring. You have to be safe. You have to feel that you're safe from intrusion. And music is wonderful for some people, and there are people here and there who do not want music. Perhaps it's too disturbing emotionally, but in our research group we had the rule of if one single member objected to something like music, then it wasn't played. We made it comfortable for everybody. And I think the setting is extremely important. There have been some rather famous studies of physicians giving clients or patients a drug, whether it was LSD, or I think the ones I'm thinking of was LSD, in a hospital room. The average hospital room has no pictures on the wall. There are no trees growing in the corner. It's a bare surroundings, metal and glass and plaster, which is probably, let's say that the soul probably suffers from malnutrition in surroundings like that. That's just not the best way to treat yourself. And the results of those experiments were usually that the people who had taken the drug never wanted to take a drug like that again. It's an extremely negative experience. Whereas if you're outside in the garden or in the mountains, then you're able to connect with the flow of things around you, both seen and unseen. And you're giving yourself a chance to open up all those parts of yourself. In a small, bare room in a hospital, you're cheating yourself. Yeah. As loudly as possible.
I will do it as loud as I can.
Okay.
I was talking with Rick about this yesterday. I once had 80 people get together for a weekend out in the country to do ecstasy.
Uh-huh.
The ecstasy did not arrive. So I said to the people, those of you who would like to try an imaginary experience, come with me.
Uh-huh.
So 30 people joined me and we went off into a field.
Uh-huh.
I then guided everybody into a meditation.
Yeah.
And I said, now, make believe you're on ecstasy. And don't open your eyes until you know you're there.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 or 3 people in the group who had never done it before. I told them to not open their eyes until they were sure everybody else's eyes were open. And then to only do a contact high, not disrupt.
Right, yeah.
The group did what I suggested. Everybody opened their eyes up. Everybody was behaving exactly as if they were on E for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Okay?
Yeah.
Before it broke.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I share this story because, Sasha, you just told about the drug as the catalyst. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask the 2 of you to speak to that, because that was a very profound experience for me, realizing that there was an ability to choose into the experience once you knew what it was.
Yeah, there is a wonderful psychologist. I don't know if I should give his name or not. Yes, it's okay. Arthur Hastings, who a good deal of his practice, at least at one time, was in encouraging people who had the MDMA experience to revisit it exactly that way. It's very difficult if you haven't had it to get into that space, and the contact high is